Welcome to Do a Reads, where we decode deep ideas and break down big books one page at a time. Today we're diving into a really fascinating text. It was written over a century ago, but somehow sparked this huge resurgence in modern thought. We're talking about Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, which came out way back in 1910. Now, some of you might know it because of his connection to Rhonda Byrne, the person behind The Secret. Apparently she found this tattered printed transcript of Wattles' book, and well, it changed everything for her. It's a book that makes a pretty audacious claim, actually, that getting rich is an exact science. Okay, let's unpack this. What did he really mean?
It is a striking way to start, isn't it? Wattles, he doesn't waste any time setting out his stall. He says right up front, this is a pragmatical, not philosophical manual. It's aimed squarely at you, the listener, if your most pressing need is for money. If you want to get rich first and philosophize afterward. He's basically offering a practical how-to guide, and the claim is huge. Failure is impossible if you follow his principles. Why? Because, he says, the science herein applied is an exact science, and he expects you to take his core ideas upon faith, almost like mathematical axioms. Just accept them and run with them.
An exact science for wealth, like algebra. That must have sounded absolutely wild back in 1910. And he kicks off with what feels like a really radical statement for that era.
Sure.
Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. Why frame wealth as, well, so essential?
Oh, absolutely. That's like the cornerstone of his whole philosophy. He flat out states that no man can rise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development unless he has plenty of money. His logic is, well, to develop your mind, your soul, your body, you need to use things. Resources, experiences, you name it. And those things cost money. So for Wattles, getting rich isn't just nice, it's an inalienable right. It's even the basis of all advancement for man. He actually goes further, suggesting being content with less is almost sinful. Because in his view, nature itself is all about advancement and unfoldment of life.
So for you listening, the book is saying that your desire for riches is really the desire for a richer, fuller, and more abundant life. And that desire, it's praiseworthy. He covers all the bases too, doesn't he? It's not just about cash. It's physical needs, food, clothing, shelter, but also mental needs like books, travel, art, good company, and even spiritual needs. He mentions love being denied expression by poverty and finding the highest happiness in being able to give to others the bestowal of benefits. It's quite holistic.
It really is. And that brings him to this idea of a science of getting rich. The truly fascinating part is how adamant he is that it's an exact science, like algebra or arithmetic, governed by certain laws. The implication there is huge, like causes always produce like effects. So anyone, literally anyone, who learns and follows these laws will get rich with mathematical certainty. He's very specific about what it isn't, too. It's not really about your environment or some innate talent or even just pinching pennies. He uses the example of two people in the same business. One gets rich, one fails. The difference, he argues, it's all about doing things in a certain way.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for me, because he seems to suggest this certain way. It's completely universal. Wattles claims any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. Doesn't matter where you come from, how smart you are, how strong you are. Even not having money to start isn't a barrier. He says the getting of capital is a part of the process of getting rich. It follows naturally if you do things this certain way. He's basically saying the path is open to everyone.
Which leads us right into his core principle, this foundational concept. It might sound a bit out there at first, this monistic theory. Basically, he believes there is one original formless stuff or substance from which all things are made. Think of it like a single intelligent cosmic Play-Doh. And this formless stuff is intelligent. It is stuff which thinks critically, it permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. It's literally everywhere, and it's conscious.
Okay, so if everything is made of this, this thinking stuff, how does that get you a bigger bank account? He puts forward this striking idea. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. The concept seems to be when this thinking stuff thinks of a shape, it makes that shape. When it thinks of movement, it creates movement. It's a direct mind-to-matter connection.
Exactly. So the big question then becomes, what's our role in all this? Humanity's role. Wattles explains that man and woman presumably is a thinking center capable of original thought. He argues that historically, we've mostly just used our hands, right? Applied labor to reshape things that already exist. But, he says, we've never thought of trying to cause the creation of new forms by impressing our thoughts upon formless substance. He's proposing a fundamental shift in how we operate.
He actually boils this down into 3 key points, propositions. 1, there's this thinking stuff everything's made from. 2, a thought held in this substance makes the thing you're thinking about. And 3, you as a person can form things in your mind, impress that thought onto the formless stuff, and basically cause creation. It sounds, well, almost like magic, but he presents it as science, a direct path from mind to reality.
And this is where the certain way really starts. To act in this wealth-creating way, you must become able to think in a certain way. And what is that way? Wattles is emphatic. It's thinking truth, regardless of appearances. He gives these powerful examples, like thinking health when you're surrounded by sickness, or visualizing riches when in the midst of appearances of poverty. He acknowledges this is incredibly difficult, the hardest work in the world, he calls it. But he says whoever manages it becomes a mastermind. The key insight seems to be mastering your inner world to overcome your outer circumstances.
And he's really demanding about this, isn't he? The book requires absolute acceptance of this faith. Doubts. He dismisses them flat out as sin. He actually tells you not to listen to conflicting arguments, not to read other books on the topic if they disagree. His instruction is just. Do not ask why these things are true, nor speculate as to how they can be true. Simply take them on trust. That no questions asked approach might rub some people the wrong way, but Wattles seems to believe any doubt just poisons the well. It contaminates the process.
So, okay, how do we actually do this? How do we practice this certain way of thinking? Wattles puts huge emphasis on gratitude. He calls it the key to getting into a harmonious relation with that formless intelligence. Being ungrateful, he warns, is like cutting the wires. It disconnects you from the source of wealth. The idea is that the mental attitude of gratitude draws the mind into closer touch with the source from which the blessings come. And crucially, it stops you falling into competitive thought, that zero-sum thinking, the idea that the supply is limited. Gratitude alone can keep you looking toward the all.
And the practical advice he gives for gratitude is, well, it's broad. He says you need to cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you, and to give thanks continuously. What really stands out is that he even says, be grateful for things like plutocrats or trust magnates and corrupt politicians. His reasoning that their organization of the world has made your opportunity. So somehow, even they are part of the system that channels riches your way, and you should be thankful for that structure. It's an unusual perspective.
Definitely. Then the second key mental tool is visualization, what he calls thinking in a certain way. He says you must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself. No. So no vague wishing. You need a coherent statement, a clear image of what you aim to do, to have, or to become. Like a ship captain needs a destination, you need to keep your mental focus fixed on that goal.
So what does that mean day to day? How do you do that? Well, he suggests spending your free time really contemplating this picture, filling in all the delightful details. Now, your desire for it needs to be strong enough to keep your thoughts locked on to that vision. And underpinning the vision, there has to be the purpose to realize it, and, this is crucial, an invincible and unwavering that the thing is already yours. Like it's at hand, and you just need to claim it. You're meant to mentally inhabit that future reality now.
Yeah, and he gives this great little story and anecdote about it. There was this student, quite timid at first. He started small, just visualizing and asking for a new rug and a coal stove for his rented place. He got them pretty quickly. That success built his faith, so then he got bolder, mentally planning all the improvements he would like to make. Bay windows, extra rooms, the works turning his rented house into his ideal home in his mind. And the book says, owns the house now and is rebuilding it after the form of his mental image, and it doesn't stop there. With still larger faith, he is going on to get greater things. It has been unto him according to his faith. The message is clear. Don't be afraid to ask big. Do not hesitate about asking largely.
Now, there's a really important point he makes about using your will. He specifically says don't try to use willpower on other people or things outside yourself. No trying to coerce people by mental power. He sees that as ineffective, maybe even wrong within his system. The only proper use of your will is upon yourself, to make yourself think and do the right things, to keep your mind focused on that vision with faith and purpose. The steadier you are, the faster things happen, because you're only sending out positive signals, avoiding doubt or unbelief, which he claims creates a current away from you.
Right, and that ties directly into his instruction to avoid negative focus altogether. Wattles is pretty blunt about it. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Don't talk about it. Don't research it. Don't fill your head with gloomy images of want and suffering.
Yeah.
His ultimate take on this is quite something. The only way in which poverty will ever be banished from this world is by getting a large and constantly increasing number of people to practice the teachings of this book. Solve it by getting rich yourself, basically.
Okay, so we have the powerful thought, the clear vision, the solid faith. But Wattles says that's not the whole picture. He highlights this critical link. Thought is the creative power, but you must not rely upon thought alone, paying no attention to personal action. He actually warns this is the rock upon which many otherwise scientific metaphysical thinkers meet shipwreck. They get the mind part, but forget the action part.
Yes, this is essential. The idea is, while your thoughts draw things towards you, they won't just magically appear in your lap. Gold in the hills won't mine itself and deliver itself to your door. Your personal activity must be such that you can rightly receive what you want when it reaches you. And a big part of that action is ensuring that in every deal, every interaction, you're giving more in use value than he gives you in cash value. It's about being a net contributor.
And the timing is key too, right? He says, you must act now. No waiting around for the perfect business or a better environment. You act right where you are with the people and things you have now. He describes this kind of dual movement. Your vision will cause the supreme to move the right business toward you, and your action will cause you to move toward the business. It's inner alignment plus outer effort.
Which brings us to what he calls efficient action. He stresses it's not about just being busy doing more things, it's about the efficiency of each separate action. Every single act, however small, should be performed as a success in itself.
And where does that efficiency come from? From holding your vision while you were doing it and putting the whole power of your faith and purpose into it. It's about infusing every task with that focused mental energy. And building on that, there's this idea of projecting an impression of increase. You need to convey to everyone you interact with that you are an advancing person, that you bring increase. This taps into, he says, the basic human desire for more life. The result. People will go where they are given increase, and your sphere of influence, your business, it grows. It's about radiating this sense of forward momentum and benefit, even just socially.
Which leads to a really important caution he offers, a sort of ethical guideline within his system. Beware of the insidious temptation to seek for power over other men. He's very clear. The mind that seeks for mastery over others is the competitive mind, and the competitive mind is not the creative one. The core principle for creative action, he insists, is this. What I want for myself, I want for everybody. It's meant to be mutually beneficial, not exploitative.
What I find compelling is how he suggests this works for everyone, not just entrepreneurs. He talks about professionals, doctors, teachers, clergy, but also regular wage earners. The advancing man or woman in any job, just by applying this faith, purpose, gratitude, will apparently attract better opportunities and success.
Exactly. He says, even if you're employed, don't just aim to be a good worker to please the boss. That's not the path to real advancement in his view. Instead, you act with the focused purpose of advancing yourself. His advice is, hold the faith and purpose of increase during work hours, after work hours, and before work hours. Basically, live it 20 and 47. This constant focus, he believes, radiates a kind of power that makes you notice and grab opportunities when they appear.
He also tackles those common doubts head on, especially about the system being rigged. Wattles insists that external factors like government or the capitalistic or competitive system simply cannot keep you from getting rich. His point is, you have to stay on the creative plane, operate above those limitations. If enough people do this, he claims, the system itself has to change to accommodate them.
Yeah, and this leads to some really specific warnings or caution that he gives. They really underscore the mental discipline involved. First, if you have a competitive thought, squash it immediately. Second, don't waste energy planning for future problems. Trust you'll handle them when they arrive or they'll vanish. Third, and this is a big one, guard your speech. Never speak of yourself, your affairs, or of anything else in a discouraged or discouraging way. Don't admit failure. Don't talk about hard times. And fourth, never allow yourself to feel disappointed. If something seems like a failure, it just means you have not asked for enough and something even better is on its way. It demands relentless optimism.
So if we try to boil it all down, Wattles' core recipe for getting rich seems to be this. 1. Believe deeply in that thinking substance and your thoughts' power to create. 2. Shift your whole mindset from competitive to creative. 3. Practice gratitude constantly for everything. 4. Form a super clear mental image of what you want. Hold it with absolute faith and purpose. And 5. Act now, every day, efficiently, always aiming to give more value than you get and project that vibe of increase.
Yeah, and the book hammers home that promise right at the end. It's pretty profound, really. The men and women who practice the foregoing instructions will certainly get rich, and the riches they receive will be in exact proportion to the definiteness of their vision, the fixity of their purpose, the steadiness of their faith, and the depth of their gratitude. It basically says your external wealth is a direct mirror of your internal discipline and state of mind. It puts all the responsibility and the power squarely on you.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? This book, over 100 years old, lays out this incredibly direct, almost demanding path. It's not just about wishing. It requires this unwavering faith, a very specific way of thinking, and consistent action. It's like a total mental recalibration. It definitely challenges how most of us think about wealth, where it comes from, and who can actually create it.
So maybe the question to ponder is this. Given these principles, what's one small, efficient action you could take today? Right now, right where you are, to start moving towards that future you envision, without waiting for everything to be perfect.
We hope this chat has given you a good feel for the core ideas in the science of getting rich. It's certainly given us a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us as we unpack these concepts. We look forward to the next one.